Today I have a very requested video because for some reason I'm like your guys's therapist. You know, I love it, but I'm obviously not perfect, but I'm just here to share my experience and maybe some tip, because a lot of you guys do message me about, you know, your relationship, and I would love to help you guys. But you know, before we get in all that chit chat, there's a lot of talking. Don't forget to like, subscribe, you know, do all the shebang, and follow me on Instagram if you guys want to see what I'm doing on the daily. But anyways, let's get into this video.
What's up, everybody? Shalom, shalom. It's still Sukkot, for those who know what Sukkot is. But I'm not here for that. I'm here for to answer a video from Miss Mom Val. Wild Val. I call her Mom. Anyway, I'm not neither here there. She's a Mark chapter 5, verse 31 to 34. But Wild Val. But her name is Val, as she say. So better to go off what she say. Val. She had posted a YouTube video talking about toxic relationships regarding how to get out of it or how to get over it or whatever the case. And those were some good points that she had brought out in the video. Like, I was like, wow, I was actually learning. Like, I was feeding from what she was saying. Like I'm saying, like I'll be telling people, like, just because people might be in stuff or going through stuff in life or might not be as on the right path or blossomed all the way like they should be or whatever, it doesn't mean that they still don't have wisdom and stuff like that people can learn from or whatever the case. You got to be real humble. Me being a rabbi, I could have been one of those type of rabbim, like, what she got to tell me or whatever, looking at pictures and stuff, her pictures and stuff like that, looking at her like looking down on her. But she had something very wise to say, and I listened to her and I took down notes, and I kind of wanted to just bring it out, as well as like edify and like piggyback off what she was saying, you know, kind of like link it together and just kind of recycle that thing back, you know, feeding off one another. And we owe one another nothing but to love one another, and this is love, you know what I'm saying? This is genuine love. There's no lust in this, to help one another get out of toxicity in many different types of ways or whatever the case. So start off, I never changed my clothes from earlier, so this is still the same day when I cut the grass video on my Instagram or whatever, the oscillating fan with 1 L. All right, and let's get into it. So I wrote some keynotes down. So I put one down, said a natural falling out. So toxic, how to get out of toxic relationships. One of the main things is or the main one really is a natural falling out. When you have a person that really like give it their all or whatever the case, and you got the other person just kind of like being lazy about the relationship, and just kind of like the expectancy of the person is all on you doing all this extra stuff, to the point where the expectancy is lost on the other side. So it's like, you know, 50-100. People say give 50-50, but my mother would say, like, her husband was like, or her ex-husband was like, if I'm giving 50 and you giving 50, who's giving 100? So give 100 and give 100. He said give 100 of yourself. You know, because you're looking at 50 and 50 equal to 100. But if I'm giving 100, you giving 100, we both giving 100. You know, looking at it like a math problem, but not looking at it like you just giving 50. So my mother would say that it's a natural falling out when somebody give 50 and another person give 100. And to stem from that, what comes from that is a lack of giving of yourself, and not accommodating to your life's benefit. Somebody being not accommodating to your life benefit. I was trying to hurry up and jot the notes down. She was saying too much. She was having too much information, like too much juice or whatever. Like golly, it was the best meal that you had. Like, it was like I ain't have a meal like this in a minute, for real. Like, so I was like trying to hurry up. Like, I was in class. Like, everything that the professor say has something important to say, and I'm like trying to hurry up and write it down before the next point come. Before I missed the next point. That was like I was in college or some crap. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was an informal type of conversation, it still had a lot of information. I love the informal conversations where it's not just informing you, but it's also just like laid back, a chill conversation. You being yourself, you just talking how you talk, you know. Yeah, so a lack of giving of yourself, and a person not being accommodating to your life's benefits. And that goes under this one category. Then we go to the next category in a second. So that's pretty much what happened in a natural falling out. People lack of giving themselves. Like, you just kind of lay back and let the other person, give all or whatever. And then you have the not being accommodating to your life's benefits. Like, they don't want to see your success. When you get into a sacred marriage, I always talk about sacred marriage. I never talk about just regular relationships. A sacred marriage or whatever the case. We can talk about friendships and stuff another time, or whatever the case, because when you get in a relationship, automatically we talking about, intimate relationships. We can talk about friendships too, but if somebody's not, all right, we'll just put it all in one category, and I'm gonna just be general with it. If someone come into your life and they're not trying to help your success, like you have aspirations or whatever the case, I aspire to be this or be a violinist, or I want to. So sorry, my phone was stupid. So anyway, you might be like, I want to be in the orchestra or this, that, and the third, or whatever the case, and the person is not accommodating to that benefit in your life to help you proceed, or to help your success towards that thing. You know what I'm saying? They just kind of like, oh, well, this, that, and the third, let's do this, let's do that, doing all kinds of other stuff that is not to benefit your success, but in turn you're trying to benefit their success. So it's like one-sided. Always you're helping them and assisting them to benefit their life towards success, but then it never come back or recycle back to you, users and stuff like that. So that's how things naturally fall out when people don't care, giving themselves selfish and stuff like that. The next one is familiarity and nurturing or environment, and that was a big one, so I had to try to hurry up and put a note on that thing. Familiarity and nurture. What was it? The reason why I said familiarity. This is why I said familiarity. She was talking about being familiar with pain and being familiar with toxic energy and toxic relationships from your childhood up. That's all your environment, or what your nurturing always was. Always in a household, always in your surroundings, your friends, in your neighborhood, is always that familiarity with toxicity. So the only way to get out of toxic relationships is to get out of that familiarity of that toxic energy and the environments or the nurturing of it. If you can't get out of the environment, then stay away from the energy of it the best way you can. And that's another way to get out of it, to notice the familiarity of that energy coming to you, and the environment that holds that toxicity. Even it could be just like family or friends, people that you are around and stuff like that, with that toxicity in the environment, all of that stuff too. That was a good one that she pulled out. The next one was self or society. Basically, I put a side note, dragging. She was talking about how you can be dragged by yourself, or you could be dragged by society, because she was saying dragging yourself, but I said also it could be the society that drags you. It could be either or, it could be you being toxic, or it can be the society around you being toxic, dragging you around and stuff like that. So that was definitely a good one. You dragging yourself. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, wrong pipe. The reason why I said society is because the environment that we live in, or rather the country that we live in, America, it being so evil, and you being a pure person, or being a pure-hearted person, or virgin-hearted is what I like to say, the society can drag you, not being a sacred type of environment or society, so it can end up dragging you. But you can end up dragging yourself for real too. It depends. You gotta be, this is a special case type of thing. All right, let's go to the next one. Incompleteness is what I said. For example, she was talking about her father. Like, how would she have been if her father was in her life, or whatever the case? Would she have turned out like this or that, or whatever the case? But I said incompleteness. So there could be an incompleteness in the person that opens them up for toxicity, or that causes them to be toxic. It's just that one trigger, or that one thing in them that holds that toxic energy, and it explodes whenever such a thing come out, or some kind of incompleteness about yourself, or there's a breach inside of you, or whatever. It's that a trigger, like a trigger or a breach, a button, different things that you can say, but it's better to say a breach, because your wall is not complete. You're incomplete. Your defenses are incomplete. You can't fix the wall together to guard yourself from whatever toxic energy might come. So somebody come your way and say something, it hits you, and then they get inside you, start moving you all kinds of ways. They influence you just by the things that they say to make you triggered up to do this, that, and the third, and all this type of stuff. Somebody broke inside of you. You know what I'm saying? Or you got gaps and holes inside of you and you got to close them things up. Different kinds of prayers too that come with that close up holes, but it won't work unless you are on a path of right living, you know, fully dedicated to living a pious life and stuff like that, or being pious hearted, trapped up, or whatever the case. You gotta completely 100% despise the thing or the work that you possibly trapped up in while doing it. At the same time, you're still doing it, but you just don't like it, you know, so you try to find ways to still have a moment of sacredness or a moment of purity, or you make ultimatums to be like, I can't do this X, Y, and Z unless I do A, B, and C first, or you let me do these holy things first, and I'll give you this, that, and the third. You gotta kind of like put it on the table, like, look, if you want me to do this, then you gotta allow me to hold the feast of the Most High. You gotta allow me to, you know what I'm saying, hold the Sabbath day and this, that, and the third, or whatever. You gotta allow me to read my Bible and take time to study the Bible and this, that, and the third, and let certain people talk to me to teach me the Bible and things like that I want. If you want to continue, and somebody might say, well, why would you want to do that because this is what I desire, but this is what I'm forced into. I have no other way. I know no other way, or whatever the case might be, according to the person. They're in that, or whatever. Let them do it until they can find a way for themselves. Don't just cut somebody's job. You could just be regular working at McDonald's. Don't just quit your job if you don't have another job. You know what I'm saying? Stay on the job and find something else for yourself if you can last that long. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might push your buttons too hard and you might quit or whatever. But stay as long as you can until you find something else or whatever. That's what it's like. All right, it's getting dark, but let me try to hurry up. The next one was I put genuine conditional love. You know, people not having genuine conditional love is what causes toxicity, because when you try to say unconditional love, it's pretty much a person can do whatever they want to do to you and they expect you to still love them. That's toxic. And that's how people end up getting into that lack of giving of themselves and not accommodating to your life benefit, not caring about your success, your holiness, your piety, your purity. And she also said, live your best life. People that's not trying to help you live your best life. And that's a good way to say it. But I would more so clean it up a little bit and say, people don't help you live your most pious life or the purest life you can live. And that's what matters. Living a pious, holy, pure life. And with that comes the peace, to be the peace of mind to be able to go out there and live the best life you can live, even if it's in an evil or wicked setting. You know what I'm saying? You know, inside of yourself, be guarded so tight in your holiness, so that when you go in these different types of arenas and stuff like that are evil and wicked, you can still have defense against those things, a hedge of defense against those things. Or people around you that's like on both sides of the spectrum. You got your holy people and these people, you dealing on both sides of the fence or whatever the case, because you have to. So you have somewhere to run for peace, and then you can go back on that side for your monetary situation or your, you know what I'm saying, your physical manifestation of what you need and benefits or whatever the case in this world, because that's this system or whatever. It's evil and wicked. You know, you always got to have some kind of evil card. The way it's played, you can't be holy no more. Like I said, I used to work for Comcast. You can't be a holy person anymore and do just regular old basic life stuff like regular old cable work or some crap like that. You got to be doing extra stuff like swinging and having sex with women, and you have to flirting and all of this stuff. You can't be faithful and all of this. In my situation, it's like I'm the guy that got to be the man that have a girlfriend that take care of him. But if I get in a situation like that, I don't want to say what I would do. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to go that route, because I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to just be coming out and that's what, no. But if it ever came down to that, I already know how I'm going to be, but I don't want to say, because those women are watching or whatever. Those women that's chasing me now that won't let me work, they watching. I don't want them to know what they could expect if I was to get with a woman that's going to take care of me and or whatever the case, instead of it being the other way around. I don't want them to know. I don't want to give them clues and stuff like that. But I'll just let you know that I am a good man. I'm not lazy or none of that. I don't sit on my back You know what I'm saying? When I have something to do, or when I have an opening or whatever, or a pathway, I take that, or a door that's open, I take that door immediately and instantly. I don't hesitate. I don't procrastinate. I don't hesitate at all. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I got to be careful how I do things nowadays. But if I had that help, you would see the benefit. You know what I'm saying? Like people that's the one thing I want people to take a chance on me about, is to see the benefit out of that thing. You know what I'm saying? So that way it can stay hush and people can still be guessing like, well, what about this guy? Da, 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 da. All right, so next thing that go along to genuine conditional love is having true confidence. I don't like to say confidence or confidence. Having true confidence, people to confide in, truly. They truly have your best interest at heart. They really care about you or whatever. They really want to, like I said, back to accommodating to your life benefit or whatever. All right, the next one is over caring feeds the ego. What she said, what Val said. Miss Val, sorry. Overcaring feeds the ego. But I said, or heals wounds. So it could be both. Overcaring could feed somebody's ego and they all whatever, or it can heal somebody's wounds that's really like never had love before, never been respected before, always hurt or whatever the case. It can heal them or whatever, and keep that balance though still, so that it don't go too much and end up feeding somebody's ego. So you want to keep the balance. But what it is that there's really no such thing as overcaring unless the person is recycling. If the person is toxic, yeah, it can get to overcaring. But if the person is recycling back to you that love and care, it can never be overcaring. It's just that you put in it's like the water is coming down the creek, you know, a little bit or a whole lot. Or when you turn a faucet on, it can be a little bit of water, or you can turn it all the way on or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It depending on how much water is coming out of the faucet or how much water is flowing out. That's all it really is. So it's not really overcaring. It's just that it's not recycling, or the water is getting too high in the thing and now it's about to overflow in the cup. The person is like not filling up and drinking it and then peeing and then filling up drink. They're not recycling it. They're not going with the system. They just being petty, like holding it under the thing, under the faucet, and you just keeping the water on, and they just looking at you laughing and giggling. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a joke, wasting water. You know what I'm saying? So overcaring can feed the ego when it comes to toxic people. When it comes to people that's not toxic, it heals wounds and it keeps them mended and it keeps you maintained, you know, to keep that recycling system going. The next one, I'm getting dark. The next one is toxic peers, is what she was saying. Miss Val was saying, toxic peers. You can definitely have toxic peers. It's always the case, you know, when you're going out and you have friends, or you don't have anybody around you, you don't want to be alone and all this stuff, and you're not supposed to be alone at all. Val was saying that learn to be single, and that is good and bad in the same time. We're gonna get in that in a minute. It's good and bad at the same time. But toxic peers, you want to do your best to stay away from. But being in America, is hard to come by, to find somebody that's not a toxic peer, that's going to lead you into some mess that has no benefit for your peace in life or your clean success. There is no benefit to clean success. There's always somebody arguing, fussing, fighting, cursing, twerking, this, that. Is nobody trying to live a clean or holy life. As soon as you try to take that path, they start looking, oh, you acting brand new, or why you this, or why you that, or whatever. Start yelling it. They see you pulling away, and they snap instantly. It's always people snap instantly when you want to take that life change for the better. You want to take your bed off, like take your bed sheets off. Like, I need to make my bed over. What's wrong with your bed? Why you do that? It was already made. Keep it like, no, I'm just gonna make it make it over different because I ain't make it right. Just and then people get snappy when it comes to you wanting to change for the better. But when it comes to changing for the worse, they quick to be like, everybody change, that people change, girl, you can't trust nobody, or blah, 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 blah. You notice the conversation to come out when you trigger people with certain things. You can even take your time to write certain things down and be like, what if I said this? How would the people react? And run a test on people. The majority of people, how would they react, or what would they say to you when you're trying to change for the worse, or when you're trying to change for the better? So you can put titles like change for the worse, change for the better, and write a whole bunch of statements and questions you would say to somebody or your friends or your peers to see if they toxic or not. Would they would they try to be phony friends, or would they be really, really real, or would they try to follow you into a pure way, or how would they be on both spectrums or whatever? So that's a test. Under toxic peers, I put learn to love being single is what Miss Val said. I said no and yes. It is not good for anybody to be singular, or rather alone. You're never ever supposed to be alone. It is mandatory in planet Earth to be with someone in a sacred marriage. You must be married in Earth. It's just hard or whatever. I get that. But no, you're not supposed to be. But at the same time, yes, learn to be singular. Learn to not deal with toxic people. Learn to be away from peers and stuff like that, so that you can get yourself together to find your, Mr. Right, or Mrs. Right, Mr. Right, the person that's gonna lift your life up and to life and brightness and holiness and purity and all of the good words. The next one was don't feel forced. This is what Miss Val said. Don't feel forced. You definitely should not feel forced into anything in any kind of way when it comes to your skepticism, or being uncertain, or being wounded before, hurt before, or not being hurt before. Just don't feel forced. Don't let somebody, how men are and how women can be too, forcing you to go on a date so that they can eat, or a man forcing you to do X, Y, and Z, or nudging you with the influence, the smiles. Come on, girl, not all zombie grabbing you up, booing you up, chinning you, holding your chin, hugging you all on you, grabbing your cheeks, doing all of the most, just hovering around you too much, flashing money, all kinds of stuff, clothes, whatever the case. It's both ways are good. There's a good side to that and a bad side to that. When you're trying to impress a woman, okay, there are two sides to that. There's a good side and a bad side to trying to impress a woman. But you have the men that are on the bad side trying to impress a woman just so they can get the cheeks. But then you're the good side of man is trying to impress a woman to show that he's not boring, he's fun and this and that and clean and whatever the case, trying to let a woman know that he's not just full of talk or holy talk, but he's also a one that lives with flavor or whatever the case. You just want to let people know that you're not boring and stuff like that, because you talk a lot of holy stuff and it can seem boring, which is why I read the Bible and learned the Bible, so that I can get it to y'all flavored up in today's terms, and so in today's situations that going on in the world, to compare these things, to let you know that the Torah or the Bible is real to today's time. It's not just some whatever people be making up, though, thou, thee, and all of this bull stuff. Anyway, the next one is settling for the benefits. A lot of people settle for the benefits, men and women. That's toxic when you're just trying to, or rather, that can lead you into a toxic thing. Like people that just want to or everybody together just around each other for the benefit. You know what I'm saying? And that can be toxic. But a person that is not toxic could end up being in a situation like that, just settling for the benefits, even though that's not what they want. But other people around you that could just really genuinely be toxic are just they just there for the benefits. They're not settling at all. That's just what they're there for, to get the benefit out of you, or for whatever it might be. But us who are not toxic, we are just settling because we don't want to be alone, and we're not supposed to be. Or it's scary and stuff like that. You can die from being alone and having nobody, no peers and stuff like that. So we settle for that thing until we can find something pure, some life or some light, And those are the heaven children. No matter how deep a situation that's evil that we get in, we always have this heart inside of us that's looking for light and hope. Whereas the other people don't seem to get it. They just content with the mess. But we be like, yo, I gotta be something better. That's how you know that we are family from heaven. Because we don't settle for this. We just in it and we want something different. We're always angry and upset about the mess that we in and the evil that's around us. Whereas the other people just like pulling you to it like they love it from the evil side. That's how you can tell too. Last thing, the lights is going off. The lights is going off, or the light is going down the street. Having your pious interest at heart is what I said. That's kind of what I said earlier. When Mrs. Val, about to say Mom Val, say Mom Val, but Mrs. Val, or can I call her Mom? I'll say Mom. Having your pious interest at heart. People don't have your pious interest at heart, which is your best interest. To have a mind and a heart and a desire, even if you can't act it out like you need to, or you still struggle with burns and this and that, have a heart that desires piety. Never give up on your pious walk. Never give up. Always, strive for it. And what helps that is having pious people that have actually achieved that goal already. They already went through the path and made it. They can come and meet you halfway or whatever, or whatever part way they can come and meet you and help you along the way on the path, so that you won't be alone in this, and they can guide you on how they stay away from it and how they fall into it, and different things like that. Like me, I can guide you, like in the evil situation, in the evil system like this, what is considered perfect and not perfect, even though that word should not exist in the scriptures because the world is fallen. What is considered blameless and not blameless? What makes you blameless and what makes you to be blamed? Like, are you to blame for porn existing? No. Are you to blame for any of this stuff existing? You're just born in America. You're not to blame for any of it. You're pulled into it. You're fed it. The school systems, all the way up to work and this and all of the bull crap, the clubs, all this stuff that we get into, it existed before we came. And then people break that stuff down and build new stuff or whatever, and whatever the case, it's still the same stuff that existed before, sugared up. So it's nothing new, but already the system was here. So us being in the system that's evil already is not our fault. We just kind of like got pulled into the wave of that thing by having no choice. What choice do we have? So, yeah, we're not to blame, okay? But if we start to defend this evil system and defend all of this stuff, like, don't defend it. Try to, like, nullify it. Be like, I don't have any feelings about it. Like, I'd rather not talk about it or whatever. Try to avoid talking about it or agreeing with people that's of these type of situations that's evil or whatever. Then agree with them or whatever, and yeah, I think that's my time or whatever. So having your pious interests at heart is living your best life, or having your best interests at heart, and with that said, you have peace in your life, peace in your home. You can sleep with the lights pitch black, the doors, just all you gotta have is the doors locked. You can sleep with nobody around and it's all dark. Dark as crap in the house, and you can have a good night's sleep. You know what I'm saying? Even by yourself if you had to. You know what I'm saying? Just a nice talk on a nice communication on the social media of genuine love could get you by through the night. You know what I'm saying? But always social media, all of this online internet stuff is supposed to be for us coming together. We're supposed to eventually meet each other and talk to each other. But how is it that when a person starts talking holy, you never really give the chance to the holy person? But when it comes to the toxic people, they get every chance because you can see their flaws. That's why. You can obviously and openly see their flaws, and you might have flaws or whatever the case, and you don't want to get judged not being able to see the other person's flaws. So you're scared that they might judge you. Why? Because there's shame there. And that's the reason why you don't. Because no matter what you say, the shame still lives in you, and you don't want that shame awakening or that conviction reawakening in your heart. But when you have somebody of understanding like myself that understand what's going on in the world, you can befriend me, and the things that I say out my mouth will cut, but they will cut with understanding. Meaning it's not going to cut you to wound you. It is basically getting the splinters out. There's a difference between using a sword or using the scriptures as a sword to cut you versus knowing the time we living in today and the generation we living in today. You can't pick the sword up. Like, we can't go in this thing with no sword. We gotta go in that thing with some needles and get the splinters out of everybody, because we're splintered up. We don't desire this. You know what I'm saying? We just gotta get those splinters out of ourselves or whatever the case, and it hurts to get splinters out depending on how deep it is. You know what I'm saying? Just understand the difference between men that's real aggressive trying to cut you down versus trying to get the splinters out. And if you can identify that, you can understand that you can be around a holy man that's a rabbi like myself and not have to worry about somebody throwing something in your face or whatever the case. The conversation going sour and then you're trying to defend yourself. Well, and you can just get out my face, or I don't even want to talk to you, or blocking you or some crap like that. You don't got to be afraid of getting cut up or whatever. Unless you are a toxic person that defends the toxicity out here in the world that leads you into evil paths and no rest, just a bunch of mess all the time. All right. So with that said, I'm done. It's getting dark, and those are all the notes I took. So Mom Val or Mrs. Val, that was a perfect video. I watched it like about 3 times, or maybe 4. to get all the notes out. It was like good food, man. I really just like had to listen to that thing and get my heart repaired up, because I don't have a wife to minister to me per words. So I was listening to Miss Val, and she was like, Mom Val or Wild Val, and she was giving me the words, like, forget all of the naked pictures, like the words and stuff that she was giving me. I just watched that video like 3 or 4 times. And when you like really have somebody that's pure in their heart like that, and when they start speaking, you can look past all of the lust stuff. You can look past that, because now they open themselves up to you to a degree, and you can see life. And so a person that's full of life, that's from heaven, a heaven child, can see somebody that's from heaven, whether they're a heaven child, a heaven mother, a heaven grandmother. You know what I'm saying? They are a family of heaven, and you can see that, and we need that, and we run to that. Other people be like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Why you trying to be holy and then still throw these pictures up and you naked, convicting you to death? Them themselves, or they themselves, being caught up in mess too, and not fully seeing and understanding who the problem is, just trying to cut you down, and then they get caught up, and then you cut them down, and they like feeling stupid, when you just got to understand the overall thing. Anyway, let me get up this thing. It's getting dark. All right, shalom, shalom.